What's up, everybody? Welcome to Gamescast, now episode 97, topic 1. I'm Alex. This is our conversational gaming show, a show that airs every other week, Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, where I talk about all things gaming. Now, funny enough, I already made this topic. I already had this on YouTube. I already had this ready to go, and it was going to be talking about the rumored November State of Play for Sony. And then, obviously, we got the announcement of Sony's State of Play literally tomorrow, and, I was so psyched, and we made the video talking about The Last of Us Part 2, and, I had all these thoughts about what could happen at the State of Play, and so definitely go watch that video because we do talk a little bit about it. But then I realized last night when I'm recording this, before I went to bed, like, hey, wait, you talked about something that's totally outdated now, so you have to redo the video. So here I am, I'm redoing the video, and in this one, I want to talk about something else I do think we will see at State of Play, and something that I think is not really being talked about all that much, at least when I'm recording this. I haven't seen it. My luck is by the time this goes up, people have thrown this around. Maybe there'll be a rumor or two around it, but, The Last of Us Part 2 really will be the biggest thing. It'll be what everybody's eyes are on. They have the media event as well. I think we're going to see, like I said, we'll see some multiplayer. We'll see the beta. Will we see a release date? We'll see. But at the same time, a State of Play can't just be one game, right? It has to be more than just one game. And you start looking at Sony and you say, okay, well, what else could they show? I do think we're going to see some new stuff. I do think there'll be 1 to 2 new things that we've never seen before that'll be shown. And, I'm not saying I'm not saying like Bloodborne 2, Horizon Zero Dawn 2. I'm not saying like a huge thing like that. But I think like a middle tier kind of thing. I also think we're going to see stuff that we already know about, like games we already know about. Dreams, I think we're going to get a full-on release date. It's still technically in that alpha where you can buy it for cheap, and then when the game fully comes out, you already have the game. So I do think we're going to get when Dreams will officially release. And I also think we're going to get a trailer for Days Gone's DLC and maybe a release window, and that's what this video is about. I talked about this before. I've talked about before Days Gone even came out, what could the DLC be about? And here we are, several months after Days Gone is actually out, and almost 6, and I think it's about time we see something. I look to Kingdom Hearts as one of the benchmarks, kind of like how maybe this will work. Now, I don't think you should really look to Kingdom Hearts to do anything in terms of releasing, because then you're going to be like, oh, well, just copy them and release a game every 15 years. But realistically, how they're doing that DLC, the Remind DLC, is kind of close to how I think Days Gone is doing. Days Gone is trying its best to supply updates consistently, monthly, basically, to the game, having those challenges, adding new modes to the game, stuff like that. And I think they're doing a pretty good job overall. But ultimately, I do think a lot of people are waiting, and I'm waiting as well, on the DLC, on the story DLC that they said that we're going to get. And I think it is going to be a pretty substantial thing. Just like the Kingdom Hearts Remind DLC, story-wise, is going to be a pretty substantial thing. Now, I'm not saying like 10 plus hours, but I think 3, 4, 5 hours, I think they can do that. And I think something like that does take time. And I feel like it takes around a year. I do expect to see this Days Gone DLC anywhere between February and April of 2020. When you look at 2020 in general with Sony, yeah, they have Nioh 2. They have The Last of Us. You can look at some of their smaller games or some Japanese-style games, but at the end of the day, they really don't have all that much, and that's kind of to be expected. Microsoft has next to nothing as well. It's to be expected. We're going into next generation consoles, and so obviously they're gearing up for that. But you do need a little something, right? You need some things to get us through. And I think Dreams, Days Gone, and The Last of Us can be it. And funny enough, and even Death Stranding, maybe Death Stranding has something. And funny enough, I think we were talking about that kind of being the thing that would supply Sony with enough to survive 2019, right? Dreams, Days Gone would do well enough, and then The Last of Us, and there would be your 2019. It's funny that we're still thinking that for 2020, but I do think we're in the right range, especially for a trailer, right? Because at this point, it's 5 months past the release date of Days Gone, and again, we may not get it for another 5 to 7 months. I think that seems like a reasonable range, however, that's only thinking if it's a year. It could technically come out in November or December. That's totally possible if they're fast enough, if it just came together faster than expected. I think they could release it in 2019. No matter what, though, I think we should get a trailer. And could you just release a trailer one day? I mean, Sony's powerful. They're big. They got a lot of marketing behind them. Yeah, you could push it. But at the same time, I think a State of Play is a really good spot for that. I think that if you're looking for that nice blend of let's hit them with The Last of Us is the big thing, right? Let's hit them with the big thing. That's The Last of Us. Then let's show them some smaller things that they've never seen before. those are things like maybe we get a Demon Souls remake from Blue Point Games or whatever the remake they're making is. Or maybe we get a DLC for something that we didn't know was going to get a DLC for. Maybe we see a couple indie games that we've never seen before and they get announced. Okay, so let's do that. The big game is The Last of Us. And then also let's show them things that they already kind of know and let's add on to it. Days Gone and Dreams, I think, are those two candidates. And Days Gone, it really is a good one because we know that, although it was received kind of mediocrely, and I think rightly so, I don't think the game is a masterpiece. I think the game is good, but has a lot of problems. I think a second game would be much better. But I think the first game is above average with a lot of problems. I'd say that's pretty fair to say. So although that people have that opinion, a lot of people truly love that game. It has a really big following, and it sold very, very well. I know a lot of people kind of hide the sales figures, but the game sold extremely well, especially for a brand new IP, and especially for a studio like Bend Studio or Sony Bend. This is their first AAA game, and to do what they did, I think is pretty darn. It's solid. It's not like, wow, you guys knocked it out of the park. They didn't. They truly, honestly did not, okay? That's just being critical of them, but they did not. They did a pretty good job, okay? They can do better, and I'm sure they will in the future, but they did pretty good. But it's still something to, pat your back on. They did a decent enough job. And it's got a following, so I think releasing a trailer, a story DLC trailer, would get people excited, and that would be a moderately big thing that comes out of State of Play. And again, you need those things. The State of Plays, I know they've been kind of overanalyzed in terms of people thought that first one was going to be a lot bigger than it was. You got to keep your expectations to a certain level, I think, for all of them. The first one very much was like Sony just testing it out. Like, let's put together a small event. We're not going to show anything big. And for what it was decent. The second one was a lot better, and they showed a lot bigger things, right? They definitely took a step in the right direction. And now this one, with them not being at E3, with them not being at Gamescom, with them not being at TGS, with them not most likely having a PlayStation experience, this is the first time that we've heard from them in a long, long, long time, and probably the last time we hear from them in 2019. They need this to be big, and I think they're aiming for it to be not necessarily a Nintendo Direct quality one, because Nintendo Directs are just absolutely amazing. I think it's going to take Sony a little bit longer to figure out how to do that. I think we're only one or two State of Plays away from getting Nintendo Direct quality Sony presentations, I think. So I don't think we're all that far off, but I do feel like this is going to be them trying to go as big as they can for what a State of Play is. And I think they're going to do a pretty good job. I'm very, very excited for tomorrow. I think there's going to be a couple big surprises that maybe we don't even know about. So I'm pumped. I'm very, very pumped. And I think Days Gone is going to be one of those games that can definitely show up and create some noise. And again, I think we'll see the setting. I think we'll see the characters. We'll know what is going on, what it's going to be about. I think we get a window. I think we get like a spring 2020 thing, or maybe just 2020. But again, that's only going to lead me to believe it's, again, February through April. I'm going to give them that 10 to 12 month cycle. And then after that, then we can start talking about a Days Gone 2, because I think a Days Gone 2 would be right around the corner. Not literally like a year away, but I think that would be the next thing that they would make getting ready for the PS5. A year and a half, 2 years into the PS5, we'd be getting a Days Gone 2. I feel like that's the big plan over there at Bend Studios. And so we just have to wait for this DLC now. So guys, let me know in the comments below, what are you expecting from Sony's State of Play? But also, do you think I'm right? Do you think we're going to get a Days Gone story DLC? And when do you think it would come out? What would you want from that? All those questions, let me know the answers in the comments below. Make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel, Podcast Now. Hit that bell icon so you guys know when these videos go up. And thank you, as always, for watching. I hope to see you all on the next video.